Nigeria is a country which has a very rich history. And it is because we have a recourse to this history that is why we're able to tell rich, authentic, and indigenous stories. Stories which reflect us and tell who we are. And in appreciation of this quality of stories, we welcome you to another beautiful time on Nigerian Movies Today, which is coming to you on the network service of the NTA. My name is Ololade Adeniji. On this week's episode of the program, we're going to be taking a look at the power of our history in being able to tell reflective stories, and also not forgetting the business of telling this kind of stories. It's time for that segment of the program where we have detailed conversation about the art and craft of telling stories. That's talking about filmmaking. But of course, before we go into that conversation, I must remind you that this program is streaming live on our mobile app, visiontv.co.uk. Now let's get to meet our exclusive guest and find out what my conversation with him will be all about. Our exclusive guest is a film and television director, an actor and accomplished creative professional with experience in advertising, broadcast production, and filmmaking. Born on 14th February in Ogbomoso, where he spent his early formative years, Tolulope Ajayi is a graduate of the University of Ilorin, from where he holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in English language, with minors in linguistics and performing arts. He also obtained further education in filmmaking at the Relativity Education Directing Workshop in Los Angeles, USA in the year 2016, as well as the BBC Assistant Producers Foundation program. Tolu started off as a young intern cartoonist at the Vanguard newspapers at the young age of 16. He, however, honed his artistic skills and joined the world of advertising, where for over 2 decades he led the production of world-class creative and strategic television campaigns, some of which projects were for clients such as Guinness, GT Bank, Procter & Gamble, among others. Tolu, who until March 2019 was head of branded content at Inside Communications, has gone into filmmaking full-time as a director of major television series, short films, and more recently feature films. Some of his works include the following: Tinsel, Paradise Way, The Dead, A New You, Knock Knock, Blink, The Encounter, Giddy Up Season 3, Silence, Closed, MTV Sugar Season 6, Oga John, and many more. A speaker at several creative fora, such as the Pan-African University School for Media and Communications, where he taught creativity and television production in 2008, the I Represent Film Festival, Cannes Lions International Festival of Creativity, and so many more. Tolulope Ajayi's works have earned nominations and won awards. Some of these are the 2014 In Short Film Festival Lagos Award for Best Short Film, 2015 Africa International Film Festival Afrif Special Jury Award for Best Short Film, 2016 Summit International Platinum Award, 2017 Africa Magic Viewers' Choice Awards AMVCA for Best Soundtrack, 2018 Bronze Awards at the Lores, 2018 Patriots Gold Award West Africa, and so many more. On our exclusive guest segment today, we have a filmmaker, somebody who actually caught his teeth in advertising, but has, come into filmmaking and is doing so much. Even while in the world of advertising, he was telling stories with the kind of productions that he had to his credit. Today, he's a director, he's a producer, he's done so much. But I think I'll just leave him to tell us all about it. Please join us as we welcome to Nigerian Movies Today, Tolulope Ajayi. He prefers to be called Tolu. Hello, Tolu. How are you?
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm
Yes,
doing great.
thank you. When I was looking through your CV, you became a cartoonist at the young age of 16. So I'm wondering, having practiced for so long in advertising, Why delve into filmmaking?
I think for me, it was a natural progression. I was, when I started, when I was I think I was 14, I got into um, cartooning. I used to draw, and journalism was an option because at that time I was doing my internships. I interned, at Vanguard. Um, then I was still in secondary, but because I'm interested by design, by frames, and stories, narratives are very key thing about, oh, how do I tell the story of this? How do I tell the story of that? But when I got into advertising was, of course, trying to tell these stories with marketing, with the value of marketing added to it, with the value of selling services, ideas, concepts, and often to corporations. So, and that was virtually a lifestyle as well as as what I really trained in. As film was a natural evolution, I think. I think with film, you're telling bigger stories. You're telling more complete stories. I've dwelt in the land of 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds.
Has your experience in the world of advertising in any way prepared you to be able to tell impactful stories, yet looking at the economics of it all?
The impact that advertising, the things we've learned in marketing communications is one, understanding the people you're talking to, shaping and designing what you're talking to so that it has the most impact. Um, Essentially knowing how to weave a message in a way that it's not too heavy, and there can be some entertainment. The ads that we've all liked have always had um, a measure of entertainment, a measure of um, a lot of sugar to go with the medicine. Um, so that's probably the biggest impact. Then, of course, in advertising, because there's often a larger budget behind some of these, commercials.
Yes.
You've learned um, how to how to get from point A to point B, in a series of steps.
What are those pointers that a filmmaker should have at the back of his or her mind when going on location, when going into production, bearing in mind that at the end of the day, there's the distribution process and so much more involved?
Like for instance, when we make commercials, we have to come to you. Back in those days, and in my days were in the times of things called pneumatic tapes. And we had to know whether a high band or low band station. There was the distribution was NTA, and we had to know what time certain people would be watching the product.
Yes, your
So
target
if I was doing something,
audience.
say for Procter and Gamble, which a former client of mine, yeah, exactly. If I'm doing Cadbury had a Saturday block where commercial was going to be for when we did work for Cadbury. If I'm working for Guinness, it's Watershed. That's for later in the evening. Procter and Gamble, we had to pick times when we knew the decision makers of the home shopping list, which is the moms.
Yes.
Yeah. The decision makers of that purchase that would have to ensure that we know where they are. So when you're done with the creative bit, which is as a director, one of the things I'm currently more on storytelling, is the creative end. But now when you now look at what you're you want to look at the marketing down, torching down the line, there are a lot of opportunities that you have.
Yes.
Nollywood was built on entrepreneurism. The creativity was the creation of the product, but it was built on strong distribution, especially through traders who were crossing boundaries. So the traders were finding the audience. So let's say you make a film,
Yes.
and you make a film that about for 16 to 19-year-olds, or 16 to 20 something year olds. Those are your stars, right?
Yes.
You would have to come up with a strategy, a brand strategy, through hiring the actors that have the great social
That
media
appeal
following.
to that age range.
one thing filmmakers could do is to actually even find out what time, and filmmakers do it. That's why some people release films in Christmas time.
Yes.
Or they release films in Easter or in Valentine's
For
Day.
certain
Because they know
periods.
those are the days people have money and they want to spend.
What's the experience been like? I mean, what's the difference? Is there any difference between directing, producing short films, directing series on television, as against having to do a feature film?
Okay, thank you. That's an interesting question. I'm not actually really. So I would say when I was in advertising, because I spent so long in advertising, and
Yeah,
I
you
worked
spent
across
forever in
different.
advertising, by the way.
Yes, yes. But what he did was that he trained me for um, being able to do. So in advertising, you could do a comedy commercial one day, you could do a serious one day, and you you kind of learned different tones, tonalities across. You never knew what you're going to get into with a client. You never, I'm like, oh, we need to do this. And I think one of the best things for me was I got to stand on the shoulders of really good directors who were producing commercials, but I learned a lot of technique from
From them.
from these people. I learned by watching them and by being very close to them. I was always asking stupid questions. And when I got into TV, I got into the first thing I did was television in 2008. I went to do Tinsel. And it was a very different experience. Tinsel is shot on 3 cameras. I mean, in my time, I think it's still shot on 3 cameras. It's not, so one action is captured by 2 cameras, sort of like studio or like sports. And I've been used to single cam. So
Operations.
I had to adjust, and it was tough for me. Yeah, it was very tough because I'm used to, okay, let's move here, let's move here. So but what I always do when I'm not sure of something, which you have to be curious for the rest of your life in directing, was like I wanted to learn multicam.
Yes.
To I just got my head into the game, and I had done theater as a minor when I was in the university, so some of that knowledge sort of filtered back a little bit, and I got right into the groove. The television series for me it's not it's sort of when you're doing TV series, sometimes you're not the only director. You might be head director, might be one of the gang of 2 or 3. One of the things you have to learn in that is to come up with a unified language. So all 2 or 3 of you are doing different things. One person is shooting from here, another person is shooting from here.
Yes.
And it's now teamwork. Yeah, it's like a 4x4 really, where the passing of the baton is important. Picking the pace up for your own stretch of the run is very, very important, and finishing strong is super, super important. When I was in advertising, I was scared of directing. When I would see people do it, I used to be super scared. Yeah, I had to, because there were so many responsibilities. The directors that I was observing, maybe because I was observing people who had very, very high standards.
Yes.
So they knew so much that I was like, how do you get all this information in a lifetime? You have to know about camera lenses, you have to know about products, you have to know about actors. For anyone that's directing, is to find something that's innate in you as an artist that manifests. Some people are great actors, so they know how to direct actors.
The encounter. Yes, tell me about it. Because I see that your kind of storytelling seems to go in a pattern, to follow a pattern. So tell me about the encounter.
It's actually based off a short story written by Henry. I've forgotten his surname now. So he's a writer, and he teaches at Greg's. I'm sure. I'm not sure. So he wrote this short story about a fictional meeting between the two heads, 2 people who were in the time of the Biafran War,
Yes.
and Jukuku was the leader, and and one of his erstwhile friends. What was intriguing about it was when we found out that they were friends and they had grown up together. There was a relationship,
Yes.
and the central theme of that encounter. I mean, everybody, and that meeting, that
Yes,
encounter
the
was
meeting.
this meeting between these two people
Mm-hmm.
was reconciling their past love, their current situation,
Mm-hmm.
and their ideology and how they went, you know. And these are people who are quote unquote brothers. So that's the thing about, that for me became the metaphor of war and how it separates people. And again, too, because I grew up in the 70s, there's like that exercise book, which is at the end of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
was the exercise book were all given for free. And nobody knew who the person was. The character has sort
Yes.
of been erased from Nigerian history. It's a man doing a high jump, and he has one shoe off his foot. And we'd always seen it on our exercise books on Olympus. And
Yes.
no one knew who he was. And I didn't
Who
find out who he
exactly?
was till I was an adult. I actually found out when I was making the movie. So
Oh,
I didn't know who he was. It was when I was making the movie, my full adulthood, that
that
the
you got
significance
to
of
learn
that
that
question.
information.
Yes.
How impactful are the stories we have told so far?
I don't think I can answer that question without saying. I think I think but I'll say the impact, and I've already passed my one sentence. The second sentence is, an industry has been created, people are getting paid, lives have been changed. People get up to go to work to make films every day, and lives are changed.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure
So,
having you on the show today.
thank you. Thank you
Yes,
so much. Thank you.
thank you.